Have you ever heard that saying, I like Jesus, but I hate his Christians? That is starting to be my mantra regarding anti-natalists on YouTube. I like the philosophy, and I appreciate the value judgment of suffering. Although it is not the only value judgment to be made. There's other ones. I do concede that, yeah, suffering is the most important one. But the level that some of them are taking it to is diabolical and disgusting. Inmendham has a little group of followers, and they are really jerks, you know. And I'm separating the philosophy from those espousing it right now. The ones espousing it are jerks because they are just focused excessively on the individual. They will, you know, they hate the person, but they don't want them to suffer, which is odd. Like, why would you care about someone suffering if you don't like them? You say you wish horrible things to happen towards Gratex. I hope you suffer and get what you deserve for thinking that way. He reminds me of my grandmother, who kind of looks like him, funnily enough. Gary, I'm referring to. It just seems like a very strange contradiction. And although some people like myself may wake up into the world and raise their hands saying, no thank you, which, yes, is good, but there's other people that wake up and say, no, I'm okay with this is all fine to me. And they would even be willing to go through suffering and still say that their life is worth something. We've had many accounts on here of that. So I'm starting to understand what people mean when they call these guys dogmatists, because they're so entrenched in this anti-natalist value judgment of suffering. They just keep on repeating in their head, suffering, suffering, suffering. If you don't value the suffering the most and only talk about the suffering and only make the arguments about the suffering, if you only say this, or else you're a jerk, or else you're an idiot, or else you're a brat, it gets annoying. It starts to piss you off because you realize that these people are just brainwashing themselves into repeating the same story over and 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 over in their head. And, you know, when I was having the conversation with that stalchilds guy, at first I was like, okay, he seems like a nice guy, so let's have the conversation. And then I heard the rude comments he made towards me, and it just showed how sickeningly obsessive these people become. Obsessed with a certain way of thinking. And, it really alienates me from wanting to be an activist for that cause even more. Because if this is how ugly these people are inside, then something's not right. Something's off. I mean, one of my main idols, Jack Kevorkian, he pretty much had the philosophy that he would never push his worldview on people. And I've got a video showing him saying that, if any motherfuckers want to question that. He says, you know, no, I would never push my worldview on someone, my pessimistic view of life in general. I would never do that. And I think that's wise. Also was influenced today by some of Piro's videos, just softening my stance a little bit. And these hardline anti-natalists have contributed more than anything to my softening of my stance. And people like Tickety Booboo, she's a complete moron. She blocked me today because I reiterated Gratex's point that she's already had kids. Was she not smart enough to figure this out before having them? Or was it just Inmendham's grand wisdom that helped her figure it out? No, she's obviously just a butt kisser and addicted and obsessed to his videos. Which, I mean, anyone who's followed Inmendham can understand how that works. You know, you do get a little bit caught up in his videos, but when you start to see what kind of actual person he is, it does take away from his philosophy. As much as he would want to say that it shouldn't, it does, because people tie the philosophy to the individual that's espousing it oftentimes. Whether you think that's intelligent or not, that's the way it often works out. And, yeah, I really can't stand the guy. Don't like his inflexibility, and he refuses to acknowledge, counter votes contrary to what may be similar to mine. Like, some people, like I said, wake up and they don't mind the suffering, they don't mind the pain. So, yeah, this is just I'm not going to convince people like Booboo or Samari that, to stop butt kissing. They're not going to stop doing that. But I'm going to point out that these people are really jackasses and jerks, and that they take away from the credibility of the philosophy with their attitude, with their unkind ways, with their judgmental ways. I was actually very disturbed by the video from Stalchilds, because he basically was just attacking me personally for disagreeing with him. And it just makes me reflect on my own thinking, on my own behavior on YouTube. So yeah, consumption, reproduction, cannibalism, and addiction, is it necessarily automatically rejectable by everyone? No, I don't know, because I have to concede that my own psychology is an exception to the main rule. Most people don't object, in quite the same way. And I can't impose my psychology onto people who just can't see it that way. And to the people that down thumb my videos, can you please just comment so I know who you are? It's really creepy when I've got like one or two people that just automatically down thumb. It's weird, and I'm gonna disable the voting for that reason, because you're really annoying. So comment if you have a disagreement, pussy, and then I'll have something to say to you. But yeah, thank you for listening.